What the fuck?
Hello and welcome to Tastes Like Tea, a podcast in which I talk about myself. My name is Theo. Don't call me Ted. Today I am doing a slightly different episode. I guess it's not that different. It's technically still just a double feature episode. But I am changing it up a little bit. I don't know if I talked about it on here. I got a new fidget toy from my friend. It's like a small bike chain between two gears, and you can kind of just like shift it around, and it was a really fun toy. And then I broke it like 5 days later. I liked it so much I fucking destroyed it. It just goes to show how durable my spinner is, because I've utilized it just about the same as I did that. And this one has been going for over a decade. Granted, I didn't use it that entire decade. I only started using it like a few months ago, a year ago, but considering the difference in survival rate, it's going pretty strong. Yeah, it's alright though. I mean, I really liked the toy, but this is a show about me, by the way, so I'm just going to talk about me. I'll get into the rest of it in a second. The chain thing was great, and I really liked it. It had a really nice, like, tactile feel to it, and it gave me a little bit of, like, a good kind of sensory input, I guess. But it also, I didn't notice it until like 2 days in, when I'm like, why is all this shit just showing up? But the metal grinding together, I was making dust that was falling onto like my worksheets and stuff like that. So I was quite literally and I do it with this toy too, but the thing is, with the spinner, it's all caught within the bearing, so I just have to clean out the bearing occasionally, where that one, it was just kind of free falling out of the gear into my hand, onto my paper. I was staining book pages, and it was a little frustrating. So I think I know that I like that kind of toy now, and I think I could just look for something a little bit different, I guess. But yeah, just a thing, just a random fucking thought. I'm pretty sure I vaguely remember talking about how I had a new fidget toy, even if I just mentioned it in one sentence. I'm like, hey, this is a new sound you're gonna hear. Well, we're back to the old sound. It's August. Maybe I'll go back to that too. Anythingbutted@gmail.com. If you want to reach out to me, you could tell me about things. You could recommend a movie. You could ask me a question. I don't know. I don't care. It's a thing podcasts do, to have an email, and I am an avid emailer of podcasts. So like, I get the urge to want to respond to things. So I have an email because if I was listening to a podcast I liked and it didn't have an email where I could reach out and like just say some stuff, I'd probably become a little bit more disinterested in it. Speaking of, I'm just autistically re-listening to every podcast I've listened to already, so I'm just running through them all again, because I don't have the patience to sit through ones I haven't listened to yet, which is a really interesting thing to think about. What was I talking about? Anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me. Not sure exactly why you would, but if you want like 30 minutes of me rambling to answer you, that'd be pretty fun. I don't know. It gives me some more drive for like the pre-movie talk to actually talk about something, because I'll actually have something to definitively speak about. Like I was just holding my fidget toy, so I started talking about fidget toy. Enough of the toys. I am a person. I exist. That's kind of like the whole thing. I have perspectives, feelings, thoughts, opinions, all the things that a person has. To the most part, for the most part, I have those things, and it's what makes me an individual, and it's why I can justify saying that I have a podcast open to the public. Because hypothetically, if I find something interesting, someone's bound to find it interesting, and I've found things, particularly films in the past, that generally people hate and I like. So, perspective. Anton Ego talks about it and how everyone in France doesn't have perspective. Or no, he said bloody town, so I guess he's talking about specifically Paris. Yeah, I have what Paris in 2004 didn't. Perspective. Nice. That's pretty cool. So, it's August, so I'm talking about films. Hold on. So it's August, right? And I don't know if I mentioned it on here, but I had a friend currently have a friend on Letterboxd that for her birthday month she watched one film from every year she's been alive within that month, or maybe leading up to her birthday. It was something like that. But essentially, she was younger than me, so it was less than a month, but 20-something days, 20-something movies, 20-something years. And I thought that was a really cool idea. And conveniently, I'm turning 30 this year, specifically in a few days. Hard on a few. It's not a couple, it's not a bunch, it's not a handful, it's a few days from now. Figure that out. So I promised for this month that I wanted to do that. I wanted to do a film once a day because I do that anyway, but I need like a ritual kind of. I don't need a ritual exactly, that's not the way I want to put it, but I don't know, just a goal, I guess, because prior to doing the film a day project or whatever you want to call it, I would spend August through basically December like binging as many horror films as possible. But now I kind of do that anyway. I do that on a daily basis almost. Like if I'm not watching a horror film, I'm watching something weird. So doing a horror binge for my birthday doesn't really have the very ceremonious feel as it used to. And like we've made lists in the past, and like, I mean, my first year on it, I tried to do it, but it kind of fell short because it was not really that good of a list, to be honest. It wasn't like I watched bad movies, but it was just like unceremoniously simple and almost systematic, and I didn't like it. It felt like I was doing the films a disservice, and I did, because last year I watched the Scream films, the first 3 Scream films, and I didn't find them as entertaining as I remember. And I think that it was due to the format and my God damn, I'm really bad with words today. My drive to continue, I guess it's to I don't know. I'd have a notebook full of like 150 films and only get through a few of them because I never actually secured any of the ones in between. So anyway, I wanted to do something different for this month, and I'm turning 30. There's unfortunately 31 days in August, but I guess that gives me a little leeway. Gives me one day to skip if I really, really, really needed to. But so far, I have secured the next 2 weeks. So I'm pretty good. I'm pretty set on accessing the films that I need for this list. But I'm doing 30 years and 30 days. That's what I called it. And it's the same thing I just said about what my friend did, except it's exactly the amount of it's the entire month, and it's to celebrate my 30th birthday, so it kind of matches up. So I'm doing from 1996 to 2026. I'm watching all of my favorite movies from those correlating years leading up to now. So it's exclusively films I have seen before. It's exclusively films from the year that's associated with my age of that year. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, right? I just need to pick the movies, and then that's it. So I made a list. I put it on Letterboxd. I tagged my friend in it because I think she deserves the credit for having that idea, even if she's not the one who came up with it. But yeah, so this episode is going to be talking about day one of this 30 years and 30 days. So, I don't, it's weird. It's really weird that, to do this. One, because I was not prepared. I was genuinely going to watch porn or something for right now instead of record, but I decided, I'm like, hey, I can talk about this. And it's something that might not require me to have a lot of talking points about the films itself to kind of get through, but still kind of talk about the films. Just like every episode, it's an on-the-fly idea that my ADHD and stoner brain completely zeroes out of my mind the second I press record, and won't remember until the next day when I'm at work and realize that I can't record there, because why would I record a podcast at work? That'd be interesting. I'm technically doing that right now, but I'm not clocked in, right? That's the important thing. Alright, so the concept is simple. 30 years and 30 days. I was born in the year 1996. It's August. I watched one of my favorite films from the year 1996. That is another... is kayfabe the word? I don't know what that means, but I heard it used recently in a similar context. Anyway, I don't even remember what my sidebar was going to be about. But, so 1996 is the year I picked, and the film I picked was Scream, which I think I just said a second ago. I rewatched it, and I have a higher opinion on it now than I did last year, which is good. And it's true. I got back into Scream this year with zero burnout. Me watching it had zero resistance. It was a pure good. Clearly, I just was watching it too often. I think over the last 5 or 6 years, I really clung to the horror thing, and I kind of hammered down on franchises I liked to the point that I overwatched them. I think for some films, maybe it's a little harder to consider something overwatched. I'm pretty sure Saw 2, 3, and 4 are probably eternally rewatchable for me. But because of my one film a day, trying to watch as many films as possible before I'm unable to do so, it becomes illogical to pump out so many rewatches. I think the most rewatch thing I have this year is Stephen King's It, because I've watched it to in the background while I was getting ready to do stuff. I've watched it just passively. And I've put it on 2 or 3 times just to watch it through on a genuine interest level, because I just love the fucking thing. But there you go. There's things that I can watch a lot, and Scream just isn't one of them. And maybe it's because of the mystery, which is broken since the first time I watched it. So I don't really know if that would really be the thing. Yeah, I watched Scream. It's the first, technically not the first film because the Predator film. We just finished the Predator and Alien series the night before, which technically like bled into the midnight after. So the diary says that the first thing I watched this month was Predator Badlands, but it was technically Scream. And Scream is a film I've had, I mean, everybody's talked about Scream, I'm assuming. I say that, but I was just complaining a couple episodes ago about how people say that about popular films, but it's not true because everyone who does these things don't talk about popular films. So everyone's like, oh yeah, everyone's talking about The Barbarian, but realistically, no one's actually talking about The Barbarian, at least in the way I would want you to. You being the metaphorical podcast that would, I guess, be you talking to me. Well, no, because I'm not a big podcast that analyzes films and covers niche stuff. It's a weird episode. I'm sorry. It's been a day. I've had very few thoughts going out throughout my head. My partner asked what I wanted to do for my birthday, and I still have no fucking clue. I'm pretty sure the answer is nothing, but that answer always ends up being a little disappointing for everybody involved because, it does end up just being another day, and that's disappointing in itself. So, yeah, I've just been kind of brain dead in general. Scream, though. We're talking about Scream. I've been into Scream for, I think, about 15 years now, which is cool to say, that I've had an interest in something for over a decade. See, when you're 15, saying you've liked something for a decade, it doesn't have the same weight. But saying, 15 years ago I got into Scream, that has a little bit more weight to it. People fear aging, and I kind of enjoy it. I think the ability to talk about things from an aged perspective is a lot more beneficial. If not for you yourself, for the people listening. Especially if they care. I don't know why I said that. That's fun, though. Whatever. What's eBay trying to tell me? I have some movies coming in from eBay. Since we finished the Alien and Predator series, we're gearing up to watch not all the significant zombie movies, but all the Romero of the Living Deads, and the remakes, and the unofficial spin-offs, the Italian Fulci and Ragazzo. No, not Bava. Anyway, I'm talking about Scream. Scream is a good film. I read the screenplay of it recently. By recently, it's actually been a few months at this point. I've been reading screenplays as an attempt to educate myself on writing screenplays, since I'm, writing them. Writing one, I should say. I don't have a job doing it. I'm just kind of conceptually doing it. And I'm very excited. I know I said a while ago that I'm getting close to finishing. I still haven't finished, but every week I inch a little bit closer, and it's great. But yeah, so I read the Scream screenplay, and I don't remember exactly what draft it was. That's the thing about finding free screenplays online, is that you don't really know what drafts you're getting. I mean, they'll tell you, but it's not like you have an option. You can't be like, well, let me see the shooting script versus the first draft. You can't really do that. You kind of just take what you can get. I don't even know if it's legitimate for the most part, but I have access to them, and that's nice. I think it's nice. But I read the Scream, and it's obviously really intense. It actually has some there's some I don't know words for screenplay terminology. Stage direction, narration, whatever the words are. It's not the stage direction, but it's not the dialogue. It's the other one. I guess it's a narrator. I don't really know. But there's a scene where I'll talk about a couple scenes, comparing them to the script, because I think that's probably where most of my perspective can come from. But the scene where I can't place exactly where it is in the film verbally, but I can't. So in the film, two characters are walking, standing still in front of trees or something. They're talking, and then they walk out of frame, and the camera zooms in, and oh shit, Ghostface is watching them the entire time. And it's shown in a really goofy way that when I read the script, I got a way better visual of it just from the way it was written. It was described a little bit differently. And it basically said, like, they walk out of frame, and for a moment, basically it's saying you can't tell. It was there the entire time, like kind of peeking over their shoulder out of focus. The mask was kind of just there the entire time. And it cuts away without it actually making it obvious that he's there. I wish I can pull the specific terminology, but it's something like you'd have to watch it a second time to confirm that he's there, because the script wanted it to linger for merely like a millisecond on him, but the film zooms in on him as he runs. He alien from Signs walks between the gap in the trees and just kind of walks away, and it's played a little bit more goofily than the script writes it out to be. And maybe I just don't know, because the thing is, clearly they want you to see that he's there, right? That's what the film is doing by doing that. He's saying that he's there watching, and if you don't zoom in on him, people will miss it and they won't notice, and people don't want that. I don't know exactly if I'm getting to because it's one of those things where it's kind of like the Dark Souls thing. Like, is it really worth making something if only a fraction of your player base is going to encounter it? And that's a huge Dark Souls thing. It's like, oh, I didn't even know this entire side of the map existed. And the internet's kind of ruined that, to be honest. I think as much as I love having guides available for me, I hate that I need a guide to do stuff when I could just play a game and figure it the fuck out or bounce off of it. Like, I have a weird relationship when it comes to guides. But Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. But yeah, it zooms in on him, and I think it plays more goofy than it does serious. And I don't think there's a world where seeing that runs chills down your spine. But if you have it to where it's not noticeable, and when I say not noticeable, I mean not zooming in on him running across the screen, but literally just have him in view, not moving, out of focus, and then as they walk away, he comes in focus for a millisecond, half a second, and it cuts away. Because then, if you're focused on the film, you could probably clock it immediately and go, holy shit, he was watching the entire time, and the mask just kind of blended in with the out of focus But then also, someone could be like, did you see him hiding in the background? And they can be like, no, I didn't. And then they'll watch it a second time and be like, holy shit, he was there the entire time. And that's the kind of shit that would have made the film just, like, the film is quality, obviously. Like, I really like it. It's one of the, best films. But that one part really, really got to me. It didn't even get to me. It was more or less just comparing my imagination of what the words said to what the cinematographer and Wes Craven and all of them, Kevin Anderson, I think is the guy's name, like, all of them envisioned it, or it was Miramax stepping in saying, hey, we can't see Ghostface in the background, you got to make it a more obvious shot, which is something I totally believe. And that's why I wish I remember what draft of the script I got was. There was also an additional scene that was cut that I think is really interesting. The scene is right before the video store. The one where Randy is going off about, like, everyone should be a suspect. I'm a prime suspect. I watch killer movies all the time. People obviously are going to accuse me of being a killer, but no one's done that. Like, he's going on his big rant about, movie. It's like the start of the film kind of acknowledging itself in its own structure. There's a few other times like Billy and Sydney talking in ratings where, like, we were really on a hard R relationship. We were really in the R and inching our way towards NC-17. But then your mom died and things got real PG real quick. And it just totally took me out of it. And I laugh. I make fun of the scene now, 15 years later, but as a teenager, I thought that conversation went hard because that's such a great way of describing it as a kid of, like, yeah, here's the 4 categories of movie and you can kind of place the intensity of your relationship within those in a very definitive way. So it made sense at the time, but I still think it's kind of dumb, realistically. Especially since they don't just go X-rated. Like, we could have been X-rated. Why the fuck NC-17, dude? What are you're just trying to kiss with your shirt off? Like, I don't know, man. But there's an additional scene right before the video store scene where it's Billy and Stu walking down the street. They're just on the sidewalk. There might be a third person there. I don't think there is, though. But they're walking down the street and they're talking about the party at Stu's house. They're talking about the party at Stu's house, and they're basically plotting to be like, all right, we're going to make it look like Billy isn't going to be there, and then we're going to trick Sydney to come. And then Billy's going to show up and Sydney will feel pressured to talk to him because she's in a party setting and trying to be casual. So she will feel pressured into allowing him to talk quietly in Stu's parents' bedroom and then have sex. So it's like a really pivotal scene. I think changes the film significantly. I think I really think that the lack of it doesn't make the film better or worse. It changes the ending, like, almost entirely. Because without that scene, there's only the soft implication that Stu didn't mean to tell Billy about the party. He plays it off really dumb and, like, sarcastically, like, oh, you might as well just go up to my parents' room then and hash it out or whatever. But he's able to pretend a little bit more realistically that to everybody, because to Sydney it doesn't matter. She doesn't know about this scene anyway. But the whole thing is that we know. So while we're waiting, we're like, holy shit. Because that reveals, it doesn't fully reveal the end, but it kind of recontextualizes it. Because I mean, other than the fact that Billy and Stu were kind of plotting this girl's rape, essentially, because they're using tactics to get her to say yes, which, coercion, I think, is the thing, right? Which is not good. Which is not good. What was I talking about? What isn't good? Oh, that they're plotting her rape, right? So yeah, the scene is just like them, like, all right, so I'm gonna pretend I'm not gonna go. You're gonna pretend that you're not gonna tell me, and then I'll show up halfway through the party, and she'll feel pressured to leave. She can't drive. She's drunk, maybe. And yeah, I mean, that's what happened. So like, without the scene, it's there's still a little bit of plausible deniability when it comes to who it could have been, but that scene is pivotal in, as the viewer, telling you that, like, I get it could be also because there's so many red herrings in the film to begin with. You could not trust it, and you could be like, oh, this is just them plotting to have sex. And I think I wrote this in my review as well, like my written one most recently, but I also think it's possible that somebody clocked that it's kind of setting up a little bit more of like a date rapey situation than it really is, and somebody decided to cut it for that reason, in which, awesome for noticing. Yeah, it's I just remember reading it and going like, this is so interesting, because as someone who knows the ending, this is a very different scene than what it is on the surface, and I think that translates into the final act significantly. I've been talking about this stuff for a while. I think those are really the main script points I want to talk about. I feel like there's one or two more, but I'm not going to hammer down on it too much. I did watch the special features on the DVD, which there is some. There's a couple of on-set, behind-the-scenes footage of both the regular cast on set and then Drew Barrymore's introduction scene, because that was shot at a completely different time, it seems, or at least in a completely different place. I think it was a really cool, because they already had like a small featurette with like interviews with the cast talking about how they liked the script so much, and that they like thought it was truly terrifying when they read it, and like, I had to put it down and come back and read it later, like TV spots, stuff like that. But then there's these two like 4 or 5 minute clips of just raw footage from like a camcorder or something, recording people on set, both like during and after takes. And you get to see kind of like the energy of people on set. You can see how like people converse. There's a really interesting spot where Sydney is talking to Wes Craven about her character, and it's just a really interesting thing, because it's just a really intimate conversation that we're able to listen into. I mean, maybe everyone already agreed that they're being watched the entire time, and that's fine with them, but it's just them sitting in a van talking to each other, and then the camera is like 100 feet away across the lot looking at them, and they're just having a conversation about the script. And it's really cool. It's a cool thing to see. It's real people doing their jobs, and I think that's cool. Same thing for the Drew Barrymore one, except something I specifically wanted to note is that, and my partner says it's completely obvious, and I have no reason to be like verbalizing it exactly, because like obviously if you watch it you can tell, but Drew Barrymore was freezing to death during that introduction scene. She they'll show her doing her scene, and it'll cut back to like the crew, and they're all wearing like windbreakers and scarves and gloves and shit like that, and she is in a thin wet sweater, covered in blood, shivering, with a chain around her neck or a rope or whatever, and you know, that's something that isn't necessarily spoken about. At least I don't think it is. I don't think I've ever had many conversations with people or hear many things on like behind the scene featurettes about it, of like actors in the climate that they're in. Like just a little aside for like The Northman, Anya Taylor-Joy specifically refused to have a body double for being out in the field because she took it very seriously, and she wanted, like, she didn't care that it was cold. She wanted to be in the field. She didn't want someone else being her. She wanted to be her on screen, and that's cool as fuck. And that's the same thing that's happening here. I mean, Drew Barrymore is in a house for most of it, but the time that she's outside, she's fucking shivering, and that cold, that mist of cold breath coming out of her mouth is real. Like, it's that cold wherever the fuck they are. All right, I guess that's kind of it for Scream. It's the main. So I mentioned it's a double feature, right? But and the second film I'm probably not going to harp on for too long, but it is technically a double feature, and I wanted to talk about it like that. So yeah, that was the first film. That's part of the 30 years and 30 days. I don't want to call it a challenge, but 30 years and 30 days is kind of what I'm calling it. And there's a list titled with that too, and you can see my 30 films just like in the order that I'm watching them in. But yeah, and you know, 1996, I can't think there's not many other films that it could have been. It could have been maybe like Birdcage, I think I saw on there. I think Labyrinth was 96. No, I think that's way earlier. Anyway, yeah, Scream. So I finished watching it, and I'm like, what kind of double feature can I do with this? It wasn't even actually, I wasn't even thinking about double feature initially. I was just kind of like, what can I watch next? And I was kind of going through the motions of like, what do I have physically? What do I have access to on my computer? And like, just what's going on? What do I got? And I thought, you know what would be interesting if I did so the first film I watched was Scream, a film I have seen before, a film that I know I like, right? What do you pair better with than a film? What do you pair with a film that you like better than a film you've never seen before? So I thought, I can do a double feature with something I've never seen before. And I thought it would be cool to stick with the year. So, being that Scream is from 1996, I watched a second film that I haven't seen before that was also released in 1996, which is 1996's The Dentist, which ended up being way more interesting than I thought it was going to be. The Dentist, you know, it looks like it's going to be just like a slasher, but it's way more. It's more psychologically damaging than anything. This dentist who has like the fancy house and the pretty wife and like all the stuff, but with all that kind of stuff comes all the problems of like, well, he's too busy to make his wife feel comforted, so she's banging the pool boy, and he's mad about it and he's resentful about it, but he's still like perpetuating the problem, because it's just like he has an OCD about cleanliness, and he feels like the rot of real life around him. And it's a film that's not necessarily about him killing people, but because of his degrading mental state, he ends up killing people by accident, sort of. Well, that's just it. It's really weird, because it's not just murdering people, it's not just rage, it's a little bit of everything. Like, this guy is just, he could be schizophrenic, honestly, with the way that the film is set up. So like, he has his wife, and she's talking to the pool boy, and he calls her in, talks to her about something that's totally like not fun, and kind of just like ruins her day. And she like touches him. Oh no. He sees she has like a smudge on her leg, and it's from where you saw the pool boy touch her leg, and it's like pool slime. And at first you're like, oh, that pool boy's really gross, but it turns out to be the dentist being like, I guess, more germophobic than the OCD. He's just like convinced that everything is gross and dirty, and he has a pristine white house with a white wife and white clothes, and he's got all that stuff, and he's like, underneath it's just disgusting and dead. But you get to these points in the film where you can't really tell what's real. The dentist is so resentful and hateful of like everything around him that he just imagines the worst for everything, and we get to see the worst get played out, like on screen. Sometimes it looks a little hazy, so you can tell it's not really happening, but a lot of the times it's just being shown, and you just have to really hope that he's not actually seeing this stuff. Or I guess realistically, you should know he's not seeing any of it, but we don't know that yet, I guess. Hard to explain exactly, but yeah, it's a lot of the film is just him. Not just, I guess there's a lot going on with the film, but like one of the big breaking points is he has a kid as a patient, and he's doing like the teeth scraping or whatever, doing like a cleaning, and then he has like a weird vision where he sees all the kids' teeth are rotting out, and the guy just jams the metal hook into the kid's gums because he's just like freaking out. There's a point where he gives a woman a laughing gas, and then hallucinates that she wanted to have sex with him, even though, obviously professionally you should know that someone on drugs should probably not be taken seriously when it comes to sexual advances, especially in a professional space. But he felt, I guess it was a mixture of his hallucinations, her being pretty, his resentment for the base assumption that his wife is cheating on him, which is technically never confirmed, I don't think. The only time we see her fucking around with the pool boy is what I'm pretty sure is just visions. I'm pretty sure he's just thinking those things, but I'm not entirely sure. She could be. I'm not sure. I don't think so though, because I think that's kind of like the big thing of the film is he's just paranoid and convinced everything's gross and dirty and rotten or whatever. So, Jesus Christ. Yeah, he like assaults a woman. Mark Ruffalo is there to punch him after he like gropes this woman, and then blames her being all messed up on her. Which is really interesting. Not interesting, but kind of like what a dude thing to do, I guess. It's not even about being a dentist or being shitty. It's just kind of like a classic... well, I guess shitty is still part of it because it's like a shitty man thing to do. But like to immediately blame the person that you're helping because they were receiving help incorrectly. When the kid gets jabbed in the mouth with that hook, he's like, he should learn to sit still better. Like, instead of just accepting that he fucked up, he just does that. And the same thing happens with that woman. He's like, oh, they're all overly dramatic and they don't know what happened. It's their own fault. Like, they're the dumb ones. Yeah, he does end up killing people. That is a thing. Most of the hard, like, violence and stuff is really just two teeth. Every time he's doing stuff on people's teeth, they have what I'm pretty sure are just giant fake mouths that he's working on, similar to what Tim Burton did in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but less comically big. But there's a scene where he just like grinds down on this woman's tooth because he just like starts zoning out while in the middle of a root canal or something. The nurses in the film, they're all kind of like scared of the dentist because he's kind of just a cunt. But yeah, it's Jesus Christ. How do you get rid of that? Asthmatics, help me. That's kind of the whole film, though, isn't it? Who does he kill first? Because that's really what it comes down to, is he accidentally killed somebody. Huh. Well, that's actually a little frustrating. I could have sworn that I would have remembered that. But it's all kind of because one person died, and he's like, oh my god, and he freaks out, and every time someone gets onto him, he tries to kill him, and the body count grows and grows and grows, and that's kind of the film. The entire time, there's one of the women nurses is kind of like putting everything together and kind of like picking things up, realizing that the guy's being flustered and kind of weird. But yeah, I guess that's really the film. I didn't want to talk about that one too much because the only real thing is I wanted to mention that I did a double feature with two films from 1996, and technically I did a third one later that day where I realized that I should probably start checking off Stephen King films I haven't seen yet. So I went down the Stephen King list, sorted by year, and then looked for 1996 and watched an additional film from 1996 that was hours later, so I guess it doesn't really count that much, but it was Sometimes They Come Back Again, which is a sequel to an adaptation of a short story, which is really excessive, but it ended up being really, really good. Alexis Arquette is in it as an evil greaser, and it's an amazing performance. Awesome. The first two Sometimes They Come Back films are surprisingly really, really good. I might watch this third one eventually, but I skipped it yesterday because it looked bad and I didn't want to watch it. So I guess that's it. 30 years and 30 days is kind of the challenge right now, if you want to call it a challenge. And I'm trying to pair... And then the films after them, I'm trying to watch from the matching year, so I could have some more double feature talks about this in the future. I'll probably call this like the 1996 double feature or something along those lines. That's really all it is. But anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to tell me about stuff. Maybe you can, tell me your list for 30 years and 30 days. Are you turning 30 this year? Same. By the time you hear this, actually, I would have already been turned 30, so that's also a thing. But, I guess that's kind of it. I'm going to hopefully do more of these. We'll see, though. We'll see. Because I don't know if I can do 30 episodes like this. Because I can't guarantee I'll have something to talk about for every single day of a month. But who knows, maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll stop talking about the double features and just start talking about the single films. And I could do mini episodes. As of this morning, I did set my next 2 episodes to not post until every Friday. I'm officially down to 1 a week. If I start doing more of these 30 years and 30 days, I might pack it all into, maybe I'll do 2 a week again, depending on how often I'm doing it. But it's really just to kind of make sure I don't run out of episodes. So I think I'll stick to weekly, and if I have excess episodes that I just want to put out, I'll throw those on the off days. And we'll keep it fresh. We'll keep it flowing nicely. So anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me. You can tell me about it, or you can ask me about it, or whatever the fuck I'm talking about. You have been listening to Taste Like Tea, a podcast about me and I am he and she. Thank you.